5:58 p.m. on Friday, January 28th, 2022, in New Jersey. And there's supposed to be blizzard conditions very shortly here through tomorrow into Saturday. That all depends on what path the storm does take to see what develops out of this. But I'm here because I have a deep, urgency, something come over me, again, about what's going on in the Canary Islands, specifically La Palma, but also all the Canary Islands there. There seems to be a lot of activity going on with small tremors, and it seems like magma moving all through those islands. Not, of a real major degree, but something is going on, has been going on. What just happened at La Palma, it seems to me that there's definitely a swarm of quakes going on right now. A swarm seems to have picked up. Again, they're not, major quakes by any stretch of the imagination, not even moderate, but low earthquakes, low level, hardly can be felt, if at all. But I think what all this means is that there's magma moving all underneath La Palma and actually throughout those islands. And don't forget, they're all volcanic islands. They all have many, many volcanoes, and each island has had eruptions in the past. I'm seriously wondering if something is going to pop over there with La Palma, Cumbre Vieja. I don't know, is it possible that there could be an eruption again to start things off again? Again, it's just a sense of urgency that I feel, so that may not amount to anything at all, just because I feel something. But I've been sensing this, for the past several days here. I've been looking at all the charts from all the past up till now. Really, there's really absolutely nothing being said or shown or data supporting what may be actually going on in La Palma, whether intentionally or not, or it's just not being, taken seriously anymore. I was thinking of putting on the charts so you could see them, the different graphs and charts and so on. I'm not going to do that, but I just want to tell you briefly what I see happening. You won't hear anything of what I'm about to say on any reporting channels, especially Volcano Discovery. I can't say why. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm no expert, but I could tell, comparing to, the past information, that not only does there seem to be major, or let's call it noticeable and alarming, well, not alarming, but I don't know what to call it. Yeah, troublesome, noticeable, like a warning signals that something could be ready to happen there. Again, not just with La Palma, but all the islands, but specifically I'm saying with La Palma. Now, the charts that I've seen as far as what's called deformation or deformation charts is simply the rising or falling of land, comparatively, let's say from one day to another, 1 week, or one whatever period. And what I see is that there's major deformation occurring right now, up and down, and to the point where even all during the eruption, through the whole history of it, through these past months, from the middle of September, over 4 months now since that eruption, those quakes and major events happened there. The deformation that I'm seeing is, let's say within the past 3 months, is more than has happened in the past 3 months, even when the volcano was very active, before it seemed to just die off, and then they declared it somehow dead. And I don't believe that one bit. So the rising and falling that I've seen, and, quite noticeably up and down, seems to be major, even more than has happened when this volcano was in major active mode. The major things that were happening with the crazy earthquakes and large scale, and also the eruptions. And there's also been a hazy kind of smokiness. It doesn't seem very apparent like in the past where it's just billowy, in different colors, and it's really noticeable and crazy looking. But it's just been a constant degassing and a bluish white haze, and it seems to be sort of smoggy all around there, and even on a lot of parts of the island. When I look at what's happening from photos and what's going on there from day to day, just a very dreary, dark, foreboding, kind of look to it. And I get that feeling like something is wrong. Something is still wrong, and it doesn't look right. It hasn't looked right. It looks like, compared to someone being sick, it looks like a sick mountain or a sick volcano, just like mostly always cloudy and smoggy and just grayish. Seems like all the time. Sometimes sun and so on, and also a reddish look to the clouds and all around. This has been going on for a long time. And again, this could also be due to stellar objects, that could be sort of causing that appearance. And I believe it is. I've believed that for a long time, many years. I believe that's real. And so I believe undoubtedly that this can affect the Earth, and I believe has been for a long time now, and that's sort of anticipated also to grow worse. And also along with magnetic, slow magnetic pole shifting movement of the magnetic pole of the Earth, and that's in part of what's happening here too, I believe, and is going to get worse, at least for another year when it seems to reach its tipping point. So this is another major thing, in play with all of this. Again, the charts and graphs that I've been looking at with the other Canary Islands, again, I'm no expert, but there's major things going on, and I don't know, is it possible that there could be eruptions, at these other islands? But certainly there's something going on beneath all that area, the whole Canary Islands, all the islands. There's activity, noticeable, seemingly small, but yet noticeable, that something is definitely happening under there. And, whatever it indicates or what could develop of that, it's very possible, especially with La Palma. Though the fundamentals of all the things I'm talking about may be just secondary to something happening with that island as far as breaking off goes, because it might not occur of a natural way, a natural means, and a natural occurrence, but something that has been, purposed to happen. So that's why, I'm coming on here, I'm giving you some of the fundamentals, some of the information and data and what I see in here. And so whatever part that plays, I'm just, relating both here, and also my gut sense. That's why I'm on here, my gut sense, troubled sense, something uneasy again, specifically about La Palma. That's why I'm sort of, I'll call it a warning. I don't know what else to call it, That usually means something is definitely going to happen and expect it. But I'm just saying it in the sense of, watch and see if something could come out of this, because it looks like things are happening there. There's definitely activity absolutely going on under the ground. Again, there's been like a swarming of quakes, particularly today. Again, they may not seem very large, but again, they're downgraded, so we don't know exactly, the magnitudes. They're likely, all of them have been more than's been reported, and probably most likely several or many haven't even been, reported at all. And that's common, not over there with the Canary Islands and the reporting from there of quakes and so on. But globally, any of these outlets, they just either drastically downgrade the quakes that have happened, or they just don't show them. They don't show many quakes, and it's amazing. Most of, well, a lot of what, you know, quakes that have happened aren't shown daily. They're just not even listed, shown that they occurred. And we saw what just happened recently with the Tonga volcano erupting out of nowhere like a nuclear explosion, sending unexpected waves, tidal waves throughout the Pacific, up, throughout the countries, up into California and so on, out of nowhere. And that happened without warning. And I don't believe that came about just by accident or naturally, but it was, it was caused to happen. Okay, so same kind of thing, scenario might be possible with La Palma. So the situation is sort of can be compared to a water leak. You see something leaking and it just seems like a minor leak and you don't pay any attention to it. It's like, oh, no big deal. And then it keeps getting bigger and bigger and you don't pay attention to it. Before you know it, it's gushing out, and then you have a problem. So that's sort of like maybe what's been happening with over there in La Palma and all the Canary Islands. Because like I say, it's been a slow but steady, noticeable activity and increase going on for quite a while now. And again, especially today. And those quakes, many of them are fairly close, just about all of them, to the volcano. Let's say 1 to 3 miles. That sounds like a long distance, but you're talking about magma movement and where it is, and so on, where it's trying to crack through and push up. And, if the volcano is plugged, which it probably is, then it's trying to push up, and it can't erupt until the pressure builds, sufficiently. And wherever else, and for whatever reason, magma may be, seeping through different areas of the island and underneath from chambers and so on, from under the earth, and distributing, throughout that area, throughout the other islands. That's definitely happening. I wouldn't be very surprised at all if something unexpected suddenly started happening there. Once more, whether naturally or unnaturally taking place. Maybe something along the lines of Tonga. So that's all I could really say. I had a very strong sense to do a video like this and say the things that I just said. If I knew of someone or felt comfortable to, work with them or show what I have and ask questions and find out to do a proper video with charts and everything, then perhaps I would, but I'm just not something I feel comfortable with or to do with anyone, or that I'm prepared to do right now. Because I think if those who are really knowledgeable about all of this with volcanoes and quakes and magma and so on, movement, that if they were introduced or even see this or concerned about the things I'm talking about, that they would take notice and they'd say, I didn't realize this much is going on there right now. And I also feel that the sudden nature of, the quakes and eruption at the start and before this started happening months ago, that doesn't seem natural too. That seems like something was purposely set off, just like I'm saying here, when the volcano seemed to suddenly shut down, like someone just shut off a switch and valve, and it just seemed to stop, and that was seemingly the end of it. That doesn't seem natural to me. That doesn't seem like, a gradual something that you could say happened noticeably from what you could tell from charts or whatever. It didn't just stop. I mean, it just didn't show signs, slowly or whatever. It just stopped totally. I mean, even the day before very day before it suddenly stopped and shut off, there was major movement going on, major charts, just like all along has been happening. Uh, the charts were going crazy, and then it just stopped the next day, and it just trickled along. And since that point, um, those charts and graphs look very much almost identical to what they looked like way back right before this whole thing started on September 11th. It looks uncannily similar. So what's happening now, it seems like the precursors to activity possibly happening seems to be and has been like a slow, steady, gradual, almost imperceptible, unnoticeable, increase so minutely all as we through literally the last couple of months here. And the activity of all the islands once more is surprising, that what's happening even in the other islands more so than what I see right now with La Palma, but in a different way. There's definitely a lot of constant tremblings and small, micro quakes going on every day. Quite a number, like the whole day. Again, some are so small maybe they don't report them, or they're not reporting them, or whatever, but it's very noticeable this is happening. And I don't even know if their charts are turned up to full. If you don't know what I mean, a lot of times with these charts, they could be turned down way low, to whatever 1%, 5% of what's actually happening. And if you put it up to 100%, the lines and activity would sort of fill up the whole graph. If you know what I'm talking about, it would show way more, color, and blot out all the empty space. So you can't even go by that. I don't even know myself. I'd have to ask someone, what they're doing. I know that on a lot of these charts it says 1%, and then I turn it up to 100%, and the whole chart is filled, like with lines and everything up and down, indicating, tremendous activity, frequency. I have noticed in the past few days here, it does look like definitely there's more smoke coming out of there. Definitely looks like it's smoldering, has increased as opposed to decreasing. To me, it just has that look. It has that look and feel that it's increasing, that it's starting to wake up again. There's definitely, from my limited understanding, but from what I've heard, from what I know, from what I've learned from these others who know all about this, there's definitely increase of magma that's been seeping and flowing steadily and increasing for the past many, many weeks here. And it's just, becoming basically more and more stronger. So there's definitely a refilling of magma going on, definitely without a doubt, I'd say. The measurements of the heat intensity in Cumbre Vieja remains very, very high. The temperature of the magma is just sitting there like 800 degrees or 1,000 degrees. So it shows that it's still very hot and it's still sitting there. From what I heard, certain types of magma can be very viscous, if that's the word, or very free-flowing like water. So, it could be seeping in. It could be seeping in everywhere and building, creating new chambers, new places where it's settling, until the pressure builds, and the gases eventually push it out up through the earth, out of volcanoes and out of fissures and so on. And most of these quakes seem to be in the upper chamber as opposed to deep below. And also I've noticed that a great deal of quakes are happening way to the south of Cumbre Vieja, right along the ridge. That whole area is getting quite a many quakes have been happening there, and also just sort of to the northwest of Cumbre Vieja. So that whole area has been having all earthquakes, farther away from the volcano. But like I just said, the ones that I just saw today, and from yesterday are really basically extremely close, even though you know 1 to 3 miles, you might say that doesn't sound very close. But I mean, it is. So whatever's happening there, maybe it filled in these other areas and tried to break through because it couldn't no longer break through. Who knows? I don't know. And now it's once again maybe pushing up right around the volcano, and maybe, you know, trying to break through again. Actually, you could say more or less that the whole west flank, that sort of semicircular area that the concern has always been about breaking off, that's basically where all the quakes have been the past weeks here, weeks. So there's definitely magma trying to push through, definitely along the ridge to the south of the volcano. And that's the about 10 mile long break or split that runs from Cumbre Vieja down to the south, about 10 miles, almost probably all the way down south. I guess it's 13 feet wide, and that's the point of all of this. That's the concern, that it stopped breaking at that point long ago, but it's still perched and could be ready to finish breaking off. And as I'm saying here, many quakes are happening right on that ridge, right on it right now, and have been. And I wish I could get someone's, you know, opinion about all of this, to see what they say, because like I say, with the deformation, the constant inflation and deflation, meaning the constant movement of parts of the island going higher, protruding higher and being higher, and then going lower and going down. Right now, it seems to me that even during the whole course of this eruption, this modern day eruption from September that we've all known about here, I don't think there's been that much fluctuation or depth of, I don't know, maybe there has been, but anyway, recently, within the past 3 months, from the charts that I see, there's been nothing compared to what's happening right now during like the past few days and this week and last few weeks. It's beginning progressively worse, way deeper. You know, the deflation, the island has been experiencing sinking, you know, quite a bit, and then going back up and rising quite a bit. That's magma. It has to be. And also right now, I noticed that there's a sizable deflation or sinking, you know, going on right at Cumbre Vieja, right at the volcano and immediately around it. And it also looks like there's lines or cracking going on in these lines and circular lines in all different places around the whole island, where right on these lines, the color shows that there's great, you know, inflation, and then right next to it, great deflation right on the other side of it. And this is happening right now and has been happening really on the whole island, specifically, again, the whole, you know, mid and south, and especially the west areas, you know, the concerns about all of this. So there's a lot of stuff going on that's not being reported. These crackings, I guess you could call them. What else can you call it? There's lines where it shows it's uplifted along the line again, major uplifting, and then right next to it, major downlifting. So there's a rising and a falling at the same time, you know, sort of like cracking. What else can you call it? Dislodging of the earth. And also, you know, whatever magma has to do with that. So I don't know if I will do an official video. Like I just said, I didn't mean to make this so long, but being that I'm not sure if I will, to come back here and really show everything, and especially because, I don't know, I'm hopeful somehow somebody would report on this or listen to what I'm saying, and, you know, I could go over this with them and ask questions and find out what they truly think about what I'm seeing here. I mean, like I said, I'm not an expert, but it's obvious to me, just from comparison of the past, what I've been learning on these other channels about earthquakes and magma movement and so on. I could definitely see, you know, the differences. I could make out pretty accurately, I think, what's going on here, without a doubt. So I'm going to just watch this, obviously, very carefully. My sense about all this, I just sense something is going on, and, to watch out kind of thing. Something could be happening in the works here. Really, it could be. Um, I'm just curious, what quakes are going to happen right from tonight on. I'll go look at that, watch that through the night too, to see, if these quakes keep happening or not, or if they, sort of swarm and then stop and swarm. That's what they've been doing. But the last swarm that I just saw was like basically one right after another, really. And that really hasn't happened in that way for months, okay, many months. Also, it seems to me that the magnitude has been increasing also, again, ever so slightly. And a lot of them, they put, 0.9 or 1.9, so it doesn't look like a 2, to be categorized in that level. But it's definitely on increase. There's definitely higher and more frequent going on right this moment. And there's really a lot of energy and movement and so on happening throughout the whole world right now, and it's continuing to happen, and it seems like it's been getting, stronger and stronger, and more volcanoes coming into life, becoming active, others erupting, and so on. I just get a sense of sadness for La Palma, like maybe this is just short-lived, and, just a sense that that's just things are going to happen. It's not going to be long. That it might take the island by surprise. It might happen like a surprise. And also, I saw some footage from Tenerife today, and oddly enough, it seems like there's smoking from the ground going on there. Don't ask me. It doesn't look like clouds, so I don't know. Very interesting things, what I'm saying here. And also the same look to everything. The same hazy, smoky, dreary, dark, foreboding, kind of creepy look that's been going on really everywhere. So I don't know what's happening there. But like I said, do we really know? Because there's really not much being shown. But what I'm seeing, it kind of surprised me. It looked like there was smoke from the ground over in Tenerife today. Really, all the volcanoes around the world basically have been looking like that forever now. Just that dreary, cloudy, dark kind of foreboding look, whether it's because there's so much heat from the ground, rising up, especially around mountainous areas, causing condensation, and that's what, basically forms clouds. Also with particulates in the air, so it has the perfect formula for cloud creation with volcanoes, everything going for it. Oh, this video really took off and had legs of its own. It's 30 minutes long, but I felt like going over all this, for those who are interested and don't get sort of whatever from hearing this repeated all the time. But like I say, really no one's reporting on this volcano and what's happening. Even just the limited things I said is important, and I think meaningful to what may be going on there. So really, unfortunately, no one is saying this. You might not hear anything like what I just said, even this limited things that I said without even showing, charts or whatever, until maybe something does apparently happen, and then they'll start covering it again, obviously. But no one's even mentioning it. Again, there might be someone briefly mentioning La Palma, and I know there are, but that's the real exception. Really, no one is really. No one's even really reporting on what's going on there anymore. I think if they saw what I saw, and if I show others this, if they could analyze it or tell me what they think, I think they would say, well, yeah, there's definitely things going on there that, need to be mentioned, that are significant. I believe there are. I keep forgetting to look at the camera, though. My eyes look kind of weird with these glasses. All my other ones broke, so I'm wearing these, whatever you want to call them. So I'll go check and see in a little while if the snow started falling. It's supposed to be a blizzard, maybe 8 to 12 inches or more, depending on the exact place that someone is at on the East Coast here. Then it's supposed to progressively turn milder into next week. And beyond that, we head into March and head into spring if things hold off that long. But again, I'll mention if there's been major gaslighting with this volcano, because I definitely think it was manipulated. And then, for it to seem like nothing's happening and it's shut off and everything. I'm still not buying it. I never did, never will, because I think this is going to happen with this break off regardless of anything, period. And I do know of now and see videos and channels and live streams that show what's happening at La Palma and the Canary Islands daily. So I am finally seeing that. I could see what's going on every day with my own eyes. All right, so in concluding here, if anyone out there is listening who knows about all of this and can concur, maybe go over this and I could ask some questions and I could show you the data and the, sites and the whatever, links, charts, graphs. I mean, I have the information. I'm pretty well stocked in knowing what to look at, but I would like someone to look it over and tell me what they think. I don't think at all that I'm exaggerating about things happening there that are going on that are significant right this moment. It seems obvious. I'm just surprised no one is doing that. No one at all is analyzing it and looking at these things about what's happening there. So I think there was good reason for me to be on here and to tell you about what I just did going on there. So if there's any more developments or something kicks off there, or something happens that's noticeable, then I'll likely be back here to go over that and see what it might mean. It's a steady progression that's been going on, so it might continue that way and just sort of at the same pace, slowly, gradually pick up in intensity. So, but I don't know, maybe whenever something could happen. I mean, it could happen now, it could happen a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. I don't know, but it seems like it's building up. It's building up toward something ready to happen there. From what I hear, it's basically almost impossible to tell exactly where the magma is. I don't know if I buy that either. I'm sure they know. But supposedly that's what they're saying. Scientists no one can know exactly where magma is and so on. It's kind of hard for me to believe so, but like what I say, you could sort of go have a pretty good idea by just the things I told you about, and I'm not an expert on this. That shows where there's magma and it's moving right now, and it's building. That's what it seems to be, building. And seems like not just building under La Palma, but as I said, under the other islands there, and probably elsewhere to the north. There's another island, I forget what it's called, a distance away, and there's activity up there. There's activity in Morocco. There was a couple of weeks ago, there was a sizable quake right off the Canary Islands, between the Canary Islands and Morocco, which is right, on the west coast there of Africa, right across from the Canary Islands. It was like a 5.0, downgraded, of course, but I think it even came in at higher than a 5. And the seismographs I saw seemed to show the strong shock of the quake on every island in La Palma. That registered that. So even though there's a quake that's not exactly on La Palma or on a specific island, that 5.0, that energy was felt through all the Canary Islands, even in La Palma, of a high magnitude. It showed, I don't know if it registered at 5, but it showed a high quake, and that energy was felt underground and affected those islands. All over, really. Spain has been having quakes. The Strait of Gibraltar, between Spain and Morocco, I guess it is. Then to the east, Mediterranean, all through there, quakes, big quakes too. Major activity in that whole area. There's major fault lines going all through there, and the sub-fault line, where I think that quake that I just mentioned between the Canary Islands and Morocco there, right to the south of the Canaries, there's a sub fault line that runs like parallel down of the coast of Africa between there and the Canary Islands, not far from either. So the whole thing is just very strange. Everything is just very strange. So as far as La Palma goes, anything really goes. Anything can be expected to happen. And I do feel a foreboding about La Palma, a sense of sorrow, that something's still going to happen there. I think that somehow God's mercy, helps everyone, in certain situations. So we don't know exactly. Like I said, I saw so many angels. So all during this time in the footage live streams, I was led to that, shown angels all around there, and also evil, disgusting, demonic spirits. And I see that going on in other volcanoes when I look at screens and live screens and from around the world of other volcanoes. Just surprised me. It didn't really surprise me, but in other words, I'm looking at these volcanoes, and then I see them. I see evil, and I see what seem to be angels also glowing in the footage, and all kinds of things. So as we know, God sends his angels to protect us. There's got to be born again believers on La Palma and the Canary Islands. So even in despite of evil men and what their plans and schemes are, against others, against humanity, for harm, God is there to protect. So, but again, I believe in the rapture. I believe Jesus is going to come. Despite all of this, despite the threat of war, despite the threat of illness, because that's becoming serious because of what's called these SPIKE proteins, which seemingly those who aren't V'd can be affected by as if they were V'd. So this has just gotten so insane. I know probably a lot of people, a lot of believers, maybe even those listening to me have suddenly become ill and not feeling well. We need to get out of here. We really do. That's the answer. There's just too much craziness, too much going on, too many threats, But God is protecting us till the last moment, and Jesus will come. He will, when it's right at the right moment. It might be this second. We don't know. But his mercy endures forever, his mercy and his grace to save. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to save whoever he can, whenever, they just open their heart to Jesus to be saved as a free gift. That's it. It's free. Absolutely. Nothing anyone can do to earn it. Despite all the self-righteous workers of salvation who want to despise grace and trash it to pieces. It's very unfortunate, and it's angering. It really is. They're going to be in for a big surprise, unfortunately, relying on their own righteousness when only Jesus saves by his blood. And he changes us from the inside once his Spirit is within us. And that's what it's all about. And that's how we become righteous and holy and have power over sin and have a repentant heart, because Jesus is in us and his Spirit dwells within. We could just rest and rejoice in that fact, not have to go try to prove anything like all these others, these multitudes are doing right now. Yes, it is infuriating. It always has been. But again, unfortunately, they're going to be in for a big surprise, and they're going to find out the hard way that they were on the wrong side of salvation, the wrong team, just deceived, self-deceived. And they are, like what the Apostle Paul said, they're false brethren, false believers, false converts, no matter what they say, no matter what they say. So all I could say is don't be taken in by any of them. It seems like maybe there's only so few left who even, believe in God's grace and born-again experience and having that inner change, that inner birth, and the good fruits that only come from Jesus, not us in any way. Not fruits of self-righteousness or dead works, not those kind of fruits, but the simple life of Jesus within us that shines through. God bless. Take care.